Also, please remember that this is not an all share meeting, rather it's a question and answer for Paul after the reading for today. For details on Paul's events, his story Under Arrest, and books, those fabulous elusive t-shirts and videos, please visit his website at zenfishsap.com. In order to get things started, I've selected a reading today from page, Paul, boy, let's go to page 26 in the big book.
Yeah.
So it's page 26, there is a solution, and we're gonna go through that page. So the first paragraph on page 26, it says, a certain American businessman had ability, good sense, and high character. For years, he had floundered from one sanitarium to another. He had consulted the best-known American psychiatrists. Then he had gone to Europe, placing himself in the care of a celebrated physician, the psychiatrist, Dr. Jung, who prescribed for him. Though experience had made him skeptical, he finished his treatment with unusual confidence. His physical and mental condition were unusually good. Above all, he believed he had acquired such a profound knowledge of the inner workings of his mind and its hidden springs that relapse was unthinkable. Nevertheless, he was drunk in a short time. More baffling still, he could give himself no satisfactory explanation for his fall. So he returned to this doctor whom he admired and asked him point blank why he could not recover. He wished above all things to regain self-control. He seemed quite rational and well-balanced with respect to other problems, yet he had no control whatever over alcohol. Why was this? He begged the doctor to tell him the whole truth, and he got it. In the doctor's judgment, he was utterly hopeless. He could never regain his position in society, and he would have to place himself under lock and key or hire a bodyguard if he expected to live long. That was the great physician's opinion. I'm going to stop there, and it goes on to talk about a spiritual experience, but kind of what I wanted to have you touch on was the idea of the idea of being able to self-control, how self-control isn't working for us. But you talk about whatever. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, welcome. Nice to see everybody. Paul, yeah, it's confounding if you're rooted in a belief that you have self-control and will and power. So from there, everything, all the opposite effects from that seem very confusing and, yeah, frustrating. But basically, the premise is wrong. Yeah, so we're taken over by stuff. Yeah, some stuff is more pernicious than others. Some have more of a life than others. And alcoholism is a particular nasty thing that can sort of take over, in the fertile field of obsession with self. Yeah. And basically, people who have been taken over by alcoholism, they tend to show the same traits, end up in the same places. Yeah. Frequently visit a pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization. And the troubles and the woes are shared, yet everyone feels very unique and different. And yeah, so there's something that's actually common. Alcoholism and its effects is clothed in uniqueness. Yeah, so we end up believing no one thinks like we do, no one does what we do, no one feels like we do. And unless you start going to meetings and hear other people that have been taken over share what it feels like, how they think, and what they do, you're probably going to have a pretty good case for terminal uniqueness, yeah, which is going to cause you not to be available to learn anything and to see the solution, really, yeah. So obviously the solution seen from the problem doesn't look like a solution for many people. Yeah. It's when you've been beaten, hopefully, and you've come to a rude awakening that, like, the idea of service is like a great opportunity, not a chore. Yeah. So you see things in a whole different way when you've been beaten into a condition of reasonableness. Yeah. Hopefully. And again, the beauty of it is this is a day at a time thing. So if the head gets overly concerned that I'm going to be doing this forever, shrink it down to a day at a time. Yeah. And then hopefully, if you can't trust your judgment, judge others about how you're doing. And you're probably doing a lot better than you were a couple weeks before you entered the program. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a confounding thing only based on the real deception, which is the bondage of self. Yeah. If you could see that what you were relying on is failed, then you wouldn't be so confused about all the failures. Yeah. You know what I mean? The failures would have value because they would reassert the fact that you're relying on a failed system. Yeah. Almost as if you're riding a dead horse. How many times when you see you've gone nowhere, yeah, and your whipping hasn't caused any movement, and then there's a recognition it's dead, you get up, right? You get off, hopefully. So a dead horse has value because it's a pretty obvious thing that it ain't taking you anywhere. So hopefully, we're relying on something that's failed. Any life run on self-will, which is a system, yeah, a mental program in a way. Any life run on that self-will hardly be a success. That's something we come to believe, hopefully. Yeah. So all these things are presented. So, I was confounded when I would go out looking for a good time and end up in jail. And then 2 days later, I would do the same thing and I'd be confounded that I was in jail again. Yeah. It just didn't, I was out to lunch, really. I had no idea what was going on. I had a lot of ideas, but they were erroneous. Yeah. So, yeah, we're outmatched. We need something greater than what we feel is at hand to do for us what we can't do for ourselves, which is to allow us to stay sober a day at a time. Yeah? Isn't that the situation? So you admit your defeat or whatever, and in that admittance, a source of power is contacted, and now you don't experience powerlessness anymore. You have some power behind things, like when you make a commitment, you show up for it. Yeah? When you say you make an amend, you have a faith that, you know what, I probably won't do what I did to this person to anyone else. Yeah. You got some oomph behind you. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the thing is, most of the people that I run into and speak with, there's a very, very deep belief in the thoughts. Yeah. The thoughts that are coming and directing them and forecasting something and implying others and reinforcing crazy ideas, there's a lot of belief in that. And it's difficult to break the effect of the thoughts if you have great belief in the thoughts. Yeah. You basically are going to just be on a level of harm reduction or whatever. But if you can see that at least a lot of the thoughts that are appearing in one's head could be framed as an alcoholic thought or an addictive thought, at least you can see some of it is not yours. And what happens when you see a thought is not yours? It tends to not to leave such a great mark in your day. Yeah. But your thought can ruin your whole week. So, I mean, just we'll just keep pounding away at it because the problem resides in the mind. Yeah. So that which compels action, you would say, would be in the mind. Yeah. That which does the action is the body, let's say. Yeah. But what compels the action in most cases of the head. Yeah. The problem resides in the head. It's compelling us to do a lot of shit that a lot of us know isn't right, doesn't work. Yes. But we're in a state of powerlessness to fight it. We're like dancing with the gorilla, and we're not going to stop until the gorilla wants to stop. Yeah. So you start seeing that. All right. You start seeing your role in things concerning thoughts. That your role is you believe they're yours. Yeah. Yeah. When you don't believe they're yours, you travel lighter. When you believe they're yours, there's a lot of anxiety. Yes. And excessive worry, usually based on what's not happening, really. So let's look at the solution as something before mind. Yeah. I think we get free samples. A lot of us have had them. So in AA, we call it a pause, Pause, where the head stops, but you're still there. Yeah. And you're that which is there when the head stops. Yeah. So you are before thought. Well, who's seeing the thoughts? Who's hearing the thoughts? Yeah. Is it a thought that's hearing the thoughts? No. Thoughts can't hear thoughts. There's something that hears the thoughts. Yeah. But it's not a thought. What's that? You want to call it a spiritual condition? I believe it's our inherent condition. Yeah. So I feel this is very important because if you don't see it, you're looking from it. Yeah. You're looking from it. And at that point, when you're looking from it, self-knowledge will avail you nothing. Yeah. Because the knowledge that you get introduced to will be claimed by self. And self will neuter it. It will change it. Yeah. To support its story. So self-knowledge at that point avails you nothing. What would happen if it could be switched and knowledge of self is very valuable? Because maybe you'll come to an understanding, though maybe weak or intellectual, at least it's a beginning, an understanding you're not that. Yes? How are you going to be free from something you're identified as? It's impossible. Yeah? All you can do is think and wish and hope to be free as that, which you want freedom from that. Yeah? So I feel it's an act of being identified as something that you're not is the root of the problem. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. It resides in the mind. Yes. We're not talking about what you did. We're talking about what compels you to keep doing it. Yeah? Yes? What is that? What compels you? What's running you? What's living through you? What's defeating you? Yeah. They give it a term self. What is that? What does that mean? Yeah. Do you believe that you absolutely have nothing to do with it or that you are it? Yeah. I would say we are the light that allows self to shine it in a certain direction. We are the light that self shines in a certain direction. Yeah. You could say it's pointing the flashlight would be obsession with. So basically there's an obsession with self, yes, that sucks up the light, and we go into that rabbit hole. We're up the ass of self. Yeah. At that point, you better call the divine proctologist. You can't fucking, read yourself out of there. Yeah, you gotta do some service, get a commitment, do that kind of stuff. But when you're out of the ass of self, there's other possibilities available. you can see that which is defeating you is not you, because that is its greatest tool to continue to defeat us is our identification as it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As clear as I can say it, really. I feel that's the root of the problem. How does it look like? Thoughts are held as yours. Feelings are yours. Actions are yours. No matter how possessed you were, when you come out of it, you'll claim to be the doer of all that shit that you were compelled to do by being taken over by something else. Yes? When you get relief from it, you'll give all credit to the higher power, but you do not make any accountability to the lower power. You keep calling everything the lower power did through you. I did it. I did all those terrible things, but something else is doing all these beautiful things. I don't see it that way. I think there's a something else that compelled all these terrible things, and there's this higher power that's compelling all these incredible things. Yes. I mean, give all praise to the higher power. Let's check out the real accountable condition. Yes. You've done your inventories. You made your amends. You played the role of being responsible for what's happened in your life. Get ready to see something else in there. When you look at your role in things, you're going to see self's role in things. And you're not responsible for self's role in things. You're accountable. Yeah? Accountability doesn't have a huge storage unit for all the guilt and shame that comes from responsibility. Accountability is, yeah, I did something. I'm not going to do it anymore. I made my amends. Let's go. Yeah. Responsibility. I'm definitely going to do it again. I got a mea culpa every fucking day for something happened 35 years ago. Because if I don't, I may do it again. It's totally bondage of self. Complete bondage of self. It's playing the jailer, the warden, the inmate. It's incredible. Yeah. Why do you think a lot of people leave our community at the fourth step? I truly believe is the parasite knows if you look at your role in things, you're going to see its role in things. So it doesn't want you to start looking at your role in things. It loves you to look at other people's role in things. Yeah, completely. Yeah. Or your role in things on a very distorted level. But when you finally see your role in things, you'll see self's role in things. You will. Yeah. And hopefully, self doesn't have an infinite amount of traits, and there is no self, but this thing we're using. So it has a finite set of traits that it just reproduces over and over again. Yeah. So looking at you and hearing other alcoholics and addicts, you'll get a pretty good display of the patterns of self and how it defeats us. Yeah. Because they're not very complex. They're noticeable. You just do a few names and you'll see a pattern. Yeah. First, you see what does self take them to be very important. How do you recognize that? Because its manifestations will be around that topic. So let's say you're interested in saving your face instead of your ass. Well, then you're going to be very concerned about how other people think of you or whatever. Yes, because when self's running the show, its manifestations are going to appear in that area. So this is how you easily recognize what has defeated you. Yeah. So let's say I used to know some girls, they were willing to turn everything over except their body image. That's where all the resentments and all the anxiety was, because they wouldn't turn it over. Yes. They wanted to run that. They didn't trust something would produce what they wanted to be produced, then all the manifestations coagulated around that. That's how you can recognize self. Yes, you'd see what aspect of your life that self is managing, because its manifestations will be all over it. Yeah, what are those manifestations? Resentments, fear, harming others in the pursuit of what it wants. Basically, it doesn't give a shit. If it can get away with it, it'll try it. Yeah. So you recognize it. Why keep calling it you? Recognize it And if you recognize it and call it you haven't recognized it. If you do an inventory on the manifestations of self and how they defeated you, and then you believe you defeated you haven't recognized it. You didn't see it. Yeah? So, self, running the show. What does self take to be important? Check out where its manifestations are. That's what it takes to be important, yeah? Just have a few examples. You're riding an expensive bike. You start going over the cliff. Why do you try to save yourself or the bike? The bike, usually. Yeah? You know, at that point, the bike is seen as more valuable than you. I remember I almost broke my neck in the water. I was laying on the beach. I hadn't had a thought in a while because I got my head hit and it went, the nervous system stopped. The first thing my head said when it came back, basically it was like, let me die here. I can't afford the ambulance. Is this thing's working for your welfare? Is it really? At moments, it reveals itself. It does. It reveals itself. Yeah, you catch it. You catch it with its real naked agenda. It has very little to do with your welfare and betterment. It's using you for transportation, basically. So. How many people run into the fire trying to save something that's worth $500 at the expense of losing their life? I mean, don't you think the value system is a little off there? Do you want that to manage your life? Do you? Do you want that which forgets a miracle in a half an hour, but any type of feeling of discomfort is the beginning of a lifelong depression? You want that to be running your life? Do you really? Do you want that to be informing you how you were, how you are, how you're going to be all day? Do you? Do you want to have something that doesn't see any real value in you? You've got to earn it. Yeah? You got to earn the value. There's no okayness that's readily available. You got to do something, yeah, to become okay. Yeah? And then while you're doing it, it changes the race, you know? It adds a bigger obstacle, you know, water hole or something. And it's just you're just slaved. You're enslaved. Yeah. I got to do so much just to feel like, okay, that's insane. Did you have that when you were 2 years old? Did you actually ever take your mom into your bedroom and say, Mom, how am I playing? You know? Wayne looks like he's having a lot more fun playing. What's going on? You know, you were just playing. It was just, it wasn't like any, you know, judgment of it. It was just playing. This is insane, really. It's completely insane. And there's a solution. There's a solution. And I believe you can get a good sense of the solution by the relief that you arrive at, yeah? It's the relief from the bondage of self. It's sort of like, you know, having a rash and you believe it's psoriasis, but you have made a mistake, it's eczema. So you put a lot of psoriasis ointment and it's not working, so you just keep putting more on it. It's not working, and now you've spent a lot of money, so you're hoping it's working. You're trying to talk yourself into it's working, but the rash is spreading. Someone just gives you a possibility. Hey, maybe it's eczema. You get an eczema ointment, you put it on just like you did the other ointment, but you get relief. Yeah, you've gotten the right diagnosis. It wasn't psoriasis, it's eczema. Yeah. We need a clear diagnosis of the exact nature of the wrong, or we'll be looking from it. Yeah, we do. I'm just humbly putting it out. I hope you check it out. I hope you do an inventory, just a 5-minute inventory of your resentments and see which is lighter. Yeah. Instead of calling fear yours, just call it fear. It's not yours. Yeah. Once you think it's yours, it has you. Yeah. Once a resentment is your resentment, it has you. Yeah. So, yep. It's right there. The instructions are in the book, page 64. Yeah. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what it has defeated us. We are now going to look at looking at its common manifestations is the inventory. Yeah. We're going to look at its common manifestations. The next paragraph is resentment. This is a way of looking at the inventory process, seeing it as self's manifestations, not our manifestations. Give it a go. Give it a shot. Do a little sample and see what it feels like. Yeah. I believe you'll travel lighter through a resentment a lot more than you will through my resentment. Yeah. I do. And I think the idea of it's my resentment is a misdiagnosis of the problem. Yeah, it says very clearly, self's manifestations has defeated us. I would say we are of us, not of self. Yeah. That's the humble suggestion here. We'll come here till fucking the cows come home every Tuesday and Thursday to put it out there. Because I would love to see you travel lighter. I don't want to fucking be there trying to help you travel lighter. I think this is enough to allow it to happen. Yeah. Just a clear description of the exact nature of the problem. Yes. So you'll stop calling its manifestations as yours. At least try it. Yeah. Yeah. You don't know how much, maybe you do. What is it in us that makes mountains out of molehills? That's a lot of power. It's a lot of power to be affected by something that's not happening. Let's say by thinking about next week, it ruins my day today. That's power. Yeah. Not many things can do that. The dog I have does not ruin its day by thinking of next week. It doesn't. Yeah. It's free from all that. And in other ways, sometimes you look at the dog and the cat. Look at this here. This cat is really being motivated by a lot of worries right now. Yeah. It's just stricken with tons of worry. You know how long it takes it to go to sleep? Like a half a second. It can do it any time during the day. It just fucking stretches, looks at me right now. I just disturbed it. And then it goes back. Yes. Us. You find yourself doing something. I can't be doing this. And then you find yourself not doing it. I should be doing that. I mean, it's insane, isn't it? Isn't it? You can't win. If I do something, it says I shouldn't have. If I don't do it, I should have. It's like getting electrocuted all day, like a little bit of an electrocution. It's like being wrong in a game show every time. Wrong answer. It's insane. So, yeah. The funny thing is, when it comes through me, I have such certainty about it. I just assume that you get it, I do. It just seems like so simple, yeah, that it came through me a long time ago. It did. And I haven't had nothing's taken its place for years. Yeah. Nothing said, oh, that was just a temporary view. No. It seems to be the last answer in my experience as this Paul. Yeah. concerning a very, very influential topic, which is addiction and alcoholism. Yeah, it seemed to have won the day, so to speak. Yeah, where I haven't had a strong feeling or a thought about drinking or using or tons of other shenanigans for 34 years now. Yeah. I don't even have to fight the thoughts off. I just don't have them, which is awesome, really. Yeah. I don't have to be able to, have a defense against the attack of the thoughts. I don't get attacked. It's awesome. Yeah. I'm cohabitating in a giant field that has thoughts coming through it every once in a while. you know? I mean, something brought about these effects. Yeah, something has done for me what I couldn't do for myself. Now, when you have something doing for you what you couldn't do for yourself, there's an intimation of it through that process. Yeah, you intimate a sense of what's doing it. I can't picture it. I can't take a picture of it, but I have a sense feltness about it. Yeah, I couldn't probably explain it well, but I don't feel it's necessary to explain it. It just seems so obvious that something has stepped in and is doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. Hallelujah. So yeah, I hope at least the words are as clear as I can make them. I can't do much better. I don't feel. Maybe if I levitated or became brilliant light or something, maybe that would get the message across. I don't know. But I feel like you'll find out yourself. You're the great convincer, yeah? It's being convinced is really a very important requirement. Yeah. Yeah. So, yep. Any questions? Anyone, Michael?
Yeah, Paul, I don't see any hands up right now. But at this time, I'll ask our participants, if you have any questions, please use the raise hand feature, and we'll have Paul address the questions.
That's a great thing not to have questions. It's great.
Yeah. Well, we have Jess. She just came in. She's a brave soul. Come on in, Jess. What do you have?
Great to have questions also.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, well, everything you said has pretty much kind of, answered any question I could have, I guess. But I did hear you mention before that you could something about you could see yourself potentially getting lost in the different tributaries of anonymous groups. And so, yeah, I could really see that. I've actually basically just come out of a bit of a wormhole of that happening to me. And it was just I can see it it's the same thing happening again and again, where it's like, you're not doing this well enough. You're not, you're not working the steps right. You're not sponsoring right. You're not doing this and that. And I can see it's the same thing, or like, this isn't the right group for you. You need to find this other group. And then there's something wrong with that group. And, yeah. So anything you have to say about that, I would be interested.
Well, luckily, I've lived near cities, yeah. So there's a more diverse community. So I've always found meetings that have worked very well, yeah, in my time. So I'm fortunate. I remember when I lived in a beach community and there would only be me and this other guy sometimes. That was a little boring. And that would motivate me to drive to the city to go to a more diverse meeting with more than two people. So, yeah, I mean, I always sense a presence in a room of recovery. I'm a real believer in the that loving God expressing itself through our group conscience. I feel a presence at meetings, which I like. Yeah. That sort of, I don't get stuck with what people are saying too much. And a lot of times I don't say anything because it wouldn't be fitting, let's say, for the flow of the meeting. Yeah. And then if something comes up, I can say it. I used to have an experience where I would say stuff and people would love it, and I'd tell them, well, go to Zen Bitch Slap, and I never hear from them again. Yeah. So it's a weird thing. You could have the same message, but with a different uniform on it, the message isn't seen. Yeah. Yeah. So I learned a lot of ways of what you are speaks louder than what you say. So a lot of times you don't need to say shit. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't go in there with guns a-blazing trying to tell them self-manifest in various ways. I mean, yeah. They know where to find me if they want to hear it and stuff. So, yeah. But I don't know exactly what the people, yeah. AA program is great, but there's people in it. That's the problem. Yeah. People tend to mess up.
The problem is there's me in it.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That meeting that maybe whatever's happening, if you took a commitment there, you may feel different about it. Yeah. So stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see when I judge them and then admit to like whatever I'm judging about the group or whatever, and then I admit to it, then I can see that it's me, it's just that there's nothing wrong with the group in the end or whatever. But what is it? Yeah, I just got really stuck in like, yeah, maybe actually, can you also just say something about like your experience of sponsoring and because yeah, I don't know. I do have the experience of you, and it's helped me so much when the thing you say, if you're willing to give it away, that you have it. So I rest on that a lot, and that helps me. But yeah, sometimes I guess I just went into a scary place there of thinking I'm not doing this well enough, I'm not doing this right enough, and then I went and found this other sponsor, and they were like extremely strict, and I went and did the steps again in 2 weeks, and I was just taking it to that spiritual addiction extreme.
Yes.
And
well, that's valuable to see that head because it's not you. Yeah. It's not you, but this is how you learn, by making crazy things. Yeah. How else? If it's beautiful when life forces it to show its hand. And if you can, when it appears, if you can have an understanding and see it, not as you, but as something other than you, and then you can bring that to 6 and 7 and ask that to be reconfigured, because it's like all the jewelry of the head has gold as the basis. You want to melt the jewelry down and not lose the gold. So you turn it over to step 6 and 7, and that's what the higher power does. It extracts the energy in it and takes away the form that the energy was put in. Yeah. And now that energy will enrich your day instead of enslave your day, because the intent was different. Yeah. I'm a real believer in steps 6 and 7, because I believe, it says this power is going to constantly reveal to us. I think what a lot that's revealed is alcoholism. Yeah. That's what gets revealed. So I see value in shit that brings that up out of the weeds, because it likes to lay low, and almost as if you don't understand that there's like a wet blanket on you. Yeah. But when you can see it play its hand, there's a recognition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it to 6 and 7. But of course, the head's going to do that. If you are doing too little, it will say something. If you're doing too much, yes, it goes on and on. But you find a balance, just like people find a balance with how many meetings. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go a week, because if they don't go to a certain amount of meetings, they get an edge again to them, just a simple edge, and then it's blunted if they just up their meetings. So you start being able to recognize the balance of being sober and what
Mm.
supports that and what throws it out of whack. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's
So,
useful. Thank you.
but the sponsoring, the way I was taught about it, sponsoring is a verb. Yeah. There's no sponsor or sponsee. There's sponsoring, really.
Mm.
Yeah. Without the sponsoring, there's no sponsor or sponsee. So a lot of people have a sponsor, but there's no sponsoring going on. So that's a disguise, really. There's yes, sponsoring is, and what it is really suggestions going one way to the other. The other person hopes will try the suggestions, see if they work. If they don't, go back and more suggestions rooted in the big book will be offered. And if the person tries them, it doesn't work, maybe find another sponsor. Yeah. But the
Mm.
responsibility of the one end of the sponsoring, the sponsee, is to follow the suggestions, just to give it a shot. Yeah. And if they don't, then the sponsor should let them go. Yeah. After a period of time, because it's not helping them to walk around saying they have a sponsor when there's no sponsoring going on.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and of course the sponsoring it's why I believe you have it by giving it away is because that's my experience. I've heard a lot of wisdom come through me when I was not having a wise day. Yes.
Yeah.
So
So have I. Yeah.
when I'm in a certain position, something comes through that won't come through if I'm not in that position. So I believe we have this by giving it away. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's changed a lot of things for me in music and in creative stuff as well. Because I would often have this idea I have everything perfect until I try it. But through sponsoring, because I was desperate and I just did follow the suggestions, I realized, yeah, if I try stuff, things happen. Yeah. So it's been amazing, actually. So yeah, thank you for that.
Yes. And then the suggestions get a life of their own, and then you'll pass them on to someone else. Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
The same suggestions someone may hear from you that they wouldn't hear from your sponsor. That's the beauty. Yeah. Because there's different attractions. So like when I first got into AA, my judgment of others was, would I get high with these people? And most people didn't fall into that category. Seriously. So I wouldn't listen to them. I wouldn't. That
Yeah.
was my judgment first. Would I get high with this
Yeah.
person? If I would get high
Yeah.
with them, I may listen to what they suggested. But if they didn't, fuck it. I'm not listening to this person. And I gradually grew into the spirit of it all. Yeah, I grew into it. At first, I didn't see no value in sponsoring or anybody. The guy who was appointing himself to be my sponsor, he was a knucklehead. Really, he only did a resentment fear inventory, no sex. He had no idea what was going on. He was just trying to follow suggestions, and I did. And then I realized after a while, here's a guy I can talk to, and I'm feeling better about shit when I talk to him. So I gravitated to the benefits of sponsoring and sponsor and sponsoring. Yeah, I didn't
Mm.
run right into it. It was seriously. I was out. I really came from out of the cold. It took a while for me to thaw out in AA. Thank God I
Mm.
didn't leave and I didn't drink until that started to happen. Yeah, yeah. So yes, and a lot of times people change sponsors because they're looking for their answer. Yeah, they don't want their answer. They want it to be tailor made for them. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a real believer in not I think it's a disservice to people to keep them from their bottoms. I do. Yeah. If they want to fucking do whatever, it's probably in a weird way, it's the quicker way, because life is the great convincer, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah. You can argue with it all you want. You're going to lose. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Yeah. So that's my take on it all
Yeah,
right
thank
now.
you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you, Jess. Appreciate you. Next up, we have Judith. Judith, you have a question today.
Hi, yeah, I'm Judith in UK, and thanks so much. I've just been coming recently to your meetings, and it's very helpful because I've been around the program for decades, and in the last round of steps, went way beyond where I'd ever even known you could go in the steps, and found the mistake of the nature of the wrongs, and by total fluke, even though the guide didn't even talk of non-duality or the direct path, or we got there. And yeah, so, and it was probably through the gate of 7 layers of realization to see clearly, because I was easily saying, I know nothing, I am nothing, I don't know anything, I know nothing, I don't even know who the fuck I am anymore, I don't know. And I'd been through this weird depth I'd never gone in decades of doing steps and people and sponsoring and being sponsored, all that. And once I recognized the nothingness, I found the everything. And since then it's only been a few months, but there's an experience of seeing in now instead of seeing out constantly. And it's profound and sometimes a bit odd and sometimes strange, but I see thoughts and they pass like clouds and they're pervaded by the sky, and it just is so clear compared to where I'd ever come from. I've spent decades being myself, and
Yeah.
and every version, and addictions relieved, and then another layer of addictions relieved, and still claiming it and going back into all that. And anyway, the bottom line is, so the mind, it feels like it's dissipating now more often, many more glimpses, and many more experiences of just the beingness or the isness of all of it is clearly the experience. And then there's this body. So I wanted to ask you about the body. So I had a ski accident. Some guy careened into me at 25 miles an hour while I was standing still at the side of a piste, and disabled a bit of my body just temporarily. And I know the body is temporary too, like my mind, the whole experience. But there's something about the body that pulls me into it's as if through the body, the mind pops up again. I see thought, I can see clearly. I do satsang, I sit with Rupert and Francis, a lot of people. And the body pain or the lack, I can go to the source, the helplessness, like the greatest fears of helplessness and uselessness. They appear real again. When they haven't appeared real for some months in mind, the body is almost sending sensation of some kind of, this is real. Well, I know obviously I can't pick anything up with my right arm and all that. And can you say something about the body's remembering, or the body when it might actually recognize the truth? I'm not there yet,
Well, it's not the body, obviously. Yeah. The pain is felt in the head. Yeah. The brain. You know that, right? Just physiologically. The
Right.
body, when the elbow's hurting, that's felt in the brain. There's no, yeah. And then people who lose a limb and they have phantom pains, it's all of the brain. But the brain images a lot of stuff, and the body is its biggest imagery. Yeah. So it relies on the body for its story to sound to have some reality, which is you're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Yeah. So the body is essential for the story. Yeah. And it's at that, it's always the final exclamation point with pain and shit. Yeah. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So,
right.
but basically the body appears in the mind. Yeah. If in a way, if you wanted an apt description of this place, it's a dreaming, really. So mind is dreaming. Mind is not embodied. It's
Right.
dreaming of bodies. Yes?
Right.
Yes. And so the body, the mental state, how it's used by the mental state is to reinforce and be the imagery of all the ideas of being the doer, the feeler, the thinker, the haver, the loser, the someone. Yes? And
Yes.
it's an object that can be remembered. It's an
Right.
object that can be thought about. So when you're being thought about as this abstract you're pictured as a body. So when the head is quite reliant on the body in the storytelling. Yeah. And it's the final judgment. Yeah, this feels as real can be, this pain. Just like when I was surfing and then the knee went out and then I was surfing with all these young guys, let's say, and then the next day the knee went out and I'm in a jacuzzi with 70-year-old dudes, 80-year-old dudes. And I'm talking and they're all going through operations and shit. And I'm saying, yeah, I don't want to have an operation. The guy goes, well, pain's the biggest convincer. So you'll get enough pain and you'll go with the operation. Yes. So the body is the period that stops all investigation, so to speak. Yes, about the reality. So you're having one of its old, tried and true presentations. Yes. So yeah, it doesn't help with the pain, but it definitely will help with the suffering. Suffering is different. It's an
Yeah.
addition. It's injecting time into pain, suffering. Yes. Wow. That's a whole different beast of itself. So, yeah. And there's ways to see if the pain is like, to me, when your head is absorbed in the body condition, just do something that distracts it. I tell people to watch Netflix, watch Bloodline. It's a good show. Good writing, and it'll take your attention off of the body and you'll feel a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
meditate, that's for sure. Of course, it's just going to go to the kneecap or whatever. That's called masochism, really. So, yeah. I would
No, it isn't. Yeah, it's not constant pain. It's just the lack of ability now, like agility and ability. And
yeah.
But it's kind of like I want to, like there are those moments when I'm totally in the, like I get it. I get the
the contracting moments do not null and void the expansive moment.
Right.
Your head just uses the contracting moments as a verification of a null and voiding of the expansive moments. It's not true. It's not true. Yeah.
It's almost like since the awareness occurred in a different say they or different, just I can't really words.
Yeah.
I've had more challenges physically. I'm 60 now, but it's like I've had more than I've ever pretty much experienced in my whole life, which is the weirdest thing. And I even had a cancer scare and had to have a tongue biopsy. But there, I was not afraid of death. It was like, finally, I understood. This is just a temporary moment, temporary existence. It doesn't really exist. There's no other word. And then I was doing really well for a long time with all this. Yes, another thing happened, another thing. Then this one, I'm like, all right, already. It's like 7 weeks. Come on. And then I like what you're saying, though. It's just the head is, it's almost, it's the ism, it's the addiction, it's the self that tells me once again, hey, I am alive. Come over here. Come and play with me.
See,
No, like, oh, fuck off.
See, the head is dualistic.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's expanding, sometimes it's contracting. It's not the cause of the expansions or contractions. This is how this place is interpreted. Yes?
Yeah.
One doesn't negate the other. So my having great days isn't nullified by my having a bad day.
Right.
Because there wasn't a my that had the great days, and there isn't a my that has the bad days. There's just bad days and great days. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both actually, the bad days seem to be less forgettable than the great days for some reason. The head loves to have a bad day
Yeah.
because, of course, because it uses it to null and void a lot of stuff. Yeah. This is reliance on the head. In many, and you'll just more will be revealed about that. You'll see the head's shenanigans about the head. What happens usually is we call one of the head shenanigans us, and then we say it's Paul about the head. No, it's the head about the head. It has nothing to do. There's no Paul that's not a product of the head. Yeah. So yeah, it's more gets revealed, and but the trend is not taking self so seriously. That's basically the trend. Yeah. And on the way, you learn the subtleties of the policeman thief theorem. Yeah. So you recognize one aspect of self and you think that's the thief, but now you're walking around on a beat playing the policeman. And then now you have to be perfect as a meditator or some insane thing. So you see they're both the same, just wearing different uniforms. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's seeing, and then there's the claiming of seeing. Yeah. You start at the claiming of seeing. You are the seeing. You start, the you that you're not starts at the claiming of the seeing. And now you live as a seer where there isn't one. So there's seeing, and then there's the rush of the mental state, claims it. I'm the seer. I'm sitting on this perch seeing, and now once again you're blind. Yeah, so you recognize it, seeing over, becomes dominant once again, and now hopefully instead of seeing and then seer, you see the seer. Yeah, yeah. You see that mental activity, and now you don't have to do anything after that. Things will fall where they will, but you've now seen something that you used to look from. Yeah. Yeah, because you're before everything. You are. There's nothing that comes before what you are and what I am. Nothing. So basically, that which says it owns this house, you're already in the house. Yeah. So its whole story is bogus from the get-go.
Yeah.
It's when it has you forgetting that seemingly, and now you take to be this idea of you, which is a product that comes after. A lot of shit can be placed to be before, which isn't true. Yeah. So now you see what you're not in its activities. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
I am not this body.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Judith. All right, we have a couple more questions here. Paul, we have Connor up next from Dublin. Connor
from Dublin.
Hey, Paul, how you doing, mate? All right.
Good.
I have a very sort of rigid recovery. Okay, in some aspects. Okay, I have the person who looks out through the eyes, and then the self. Okay, and I find a lot of the time I don't have any compassion for the self, the activities that the self gets up to.
Well, who's that doesn't have any compassion?
Yeah, yeah.
No,
Like I
really.
look at
Who's that who
yeah.
doesn't have any compassion? It's not you.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't save myself. You know what I mean? I ended up in a coma, and I wouldn't save myself. And I see a lot of addiction where I work and where I live. And so few people get it. I get sort of disheartened a bit, really, you know, get recovery, that I have to take a step back, you know. Yeah.
That sounds
I
like
find,
compassion to me.
well, I have to put up a front of a tough guy, you know what I mean? That I'm not really, to protect myself in the world that I live in, the world that you know, I don't live on the side of a mountain alone, you know. I have to sort of fit into this world and play a part that I don't actually feel that I am. Well, I know that I'm not, you know what I mean? But to survive in the world that I live in, I sort of have to act like a hard man or whatever. I portray myself as something that I'm not. But I find I've very little compassion for all the addiction that I see around me, you know. And but reality, you know, I mean, that could be me, you know. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with all this. Yeah, I just I'm I don't know, I'm disjointed or something in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good you're taking the opportunity to share, Connor. We like to see you here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this stuff is what you feel like and all this and that. Well, bring that over to that power and let it, you know, highlight what needs to be highlighted. You may be highlighting the wrong things. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still have to keep playing this part to survive in the world that I live in, you know.
Well, no one's saying you have to stop, but you know,
Yeah.
it may have an expiration date. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Some days I get disillusioned with the whole thing, you know, like, you know, yeah,
Yeah.
with when I see addiction getting worse around me and things, you know. But
Yes.
yeah, I find I've less and less compassion, and yeah, I it annoys me because I know that could be me, you know. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just really lucky that I am where I am today, you know. That I found a recovery program of recovery, you know. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it'd be great if everybody could
if
get
that
recovery.
feels like a discomfort, then you know, just have a little gratitude like you're sharing now. Just
Yeah,
but do it as an insert during your day. Hey,
yeah,
yeah. And remember where to be used, yeah? We're like a tool that something is using, and this something is the higher power, yeah? We don't know what its plan is. And
yeah,
so and I don't see compassion as only one way. I think there's great compassion in letting people have their bottoms also. Yeah.
yeah. I know. Yeah, I had to pull a knife in a pair of addicts recently. Okay, and I bet they didn't expect that. You know what I mean?
What did you
They kind
say?
of thought that they were calling the shots. You know what I mean? And you know, they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. Don't know my past. Don't know anything. You know. Um, and I got away with it. You know. But yeah, yeah. Um, it could
Say
have
the
gone very
beginning of that,
badly wrong.
Donna. Can you say the beginning of that? Didn't hear the first thing that made the whole sentence meaningful.
In my in my job,
Yeah.
I had to pull a knife on a pair of addicts,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and I said, I think they weren't expecting that, you know. They weren't, you know. Um, you know, they thought they were calling the shots, and I was actually not letting them call the shots on that particular day. It was out of fear. I was full of fear, but I was willing to use the knife, you know, because I was full of fear, you know. But yeah, um, yeah. And then I just get, yeah, it sort of makes me harder or less compassionate, you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a role that I don't want to have to play every day, you know? Yeah.
Do you work with addicts?
No, I don't, but I work in quite a there's a lot of drug addiction around where I work. Yeah, yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
Hmm. Well,
I'm
I
just,
hope you use this opportunity kind of here to share with us. Yeah. 'Cause
yeah,
just in the sharing of it, I think there's relief.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for your time. It's great listening to you all the time. It's great listening to you. Yeah,
Well,
cool.
I'm happy you've stepped in, bro. Yeah.
Cool. You're
Yeah.
lucky, right?
I'm happy you stepped in because, yeah. Yeah. I could go on with something. I come from an Irish family. Yeah. And yeah. Just, this, yeah. All right. Thanks, man. I'm happy.
Thanks, man.
Here. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for sharing that, Connor. I appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, Brian. Thank you for being patient, and you're up next.
I thank you so much. Grateful to be here. My question is, I'm grateful to have heard earlier because I was curious about that. You said playing the role of the person being responsible. And immediately I was like, okay. And then I was wondering for an amend, I don't want to use the word reward, but is that process so rewarding because it'll free your mind up from all those past experiences where your mind would have the opportunity to replay that and take you back into self, or maybe shame, or just that sticky situation. Now, is the participant likely also playing a role? Do both people get freedom because of the humility, or is that the higher power's role in that process? I'm just wondering if the role is being played, is the reward, with the lack of a better word, the ability for the mind to then no longer have that grasp? Do you think that that's fundamentally sort of what the best part of that process is?
Well, I think that's its intent.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what it is for the other person, but I think the intent is to look at something. Let's say the past is a giant storage of things. Yeah. To look at the past in a different light.
Right.
By showing up and making amends instead of avoiding things at all costs. Yeah. And this is perhaps the better way to deal with the past. Yeah. Yeah. And I felt probably the most immediate effect of the steps was the ninth step.
Mhm.
Yes. Because when I used to use this example and I'll use it now. When I was out there, I lived in an area called North Beach of San Francisco near the end. And in North Beach, of course, I was living at some girl's apartment. I didn't have a job. I was just dealing drugs on a very small level. And I would go to a marketplace called Rossi's Market, and I would steal stuff from there, like a couple big boys cans of beer and like a flat piece of meat, like steak or something.
Mhm.
I had a long overcoat, wear it, go in there, steal it every day, pretty much. Never got caught. I get sober, and I start going to a meeting in North Beach that I really like. And San Francisco is very difficult with parking, incredible. And North Beach is one of the worst. So when I was driving around North Beach looking for a parking space, I'd never go down the street where Rossi's Market was. Yeah. I just didn't want to be reminded. I did well all week without it, but when I went to North Beach, it was a reminder of a lot of shit I didn't want to deal with. So I would just avoid it. Then one day I realized, fuck it. And I went into Rossi's Market and I asked where the manager is. He was upstairs. I went in there and I told him, hey, I'm in a program of recovery. I used to live in the neighborhood. I used to steal from here. And here's like $55. I don't know how much I stole. The guy was sort of flabbergasted, took the money, and I left. Yeah. And I never thought of Rossi's Market again.
Right.
Exactly. So that's sort of what I feel the spirit of this thing is.
Even
One
if
way
you're
of
playing the
dealing
role.
with it, one way of dealing with it gives it life. Another way of dealing with it, right, restores life back to the present moment. Yeah. They're very different, hugely different. So that's what I feel about the amend process.
Even though you're temporarily playing the role of responsible.
Well, at that point, I was completely playing the role of responsibility. Yeah, I thought I had done it. It was
Okay.
later during the years that I saw, I intellectually knew the idea of something had taken me over, but it hadn't really rooted well enough. Though I had a strong experience doing one amend, that no guilt or shame came up. I got a free sample, and then it further developed as I went on. But at that point, no, I was my first year sober, and I was thinking I did all that shit completely, and it was scary for me to deal with it, you know. But again, at that point, it was more not scary, but it was grace had appeared, and I had some propulsion, you know. I was into it, and I followed suggestions, and I did the steps, and I got a huge amount of relief. And not only that, I got it's a design for living. I got a new design for living, you know, and that new design brought out the best in me, where the old design brought out the worst in me. So it was a pretty big upgrade. Yeah. So, yeah. But yes, so I feel that's. I think the willingness is the most important aspect. You know, like I'm willing to be a help, and a lot of times people used to call me at 1 a.m, and I was willing to put my pants on and go, and then I get a call 5 minutes later. Oh, we dealt with it. So I got all the credibility, but I didn't have to do anything. So, but it was the willingness to do it that I think has a lot of power. Yeah.
So prior to the non-dual, it's a very beautiful part of recovery. I guess that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Because it works for us. Because like if before, when I was out there, if my right arm was bleeding, I would just look left. You know, I just fucking, you know, if I thought I upset somebody, I'd move out of state or something. It was just insane, fucking out of proportion solutions that were insane. So luckily, you know, I got struck sober, so that basis of being sober allowed an overhaul of a living experience. Yeah, it allowed the sobriety allowed the overhaul to occur. Yeah, yeah, because my idea of dealing with old shit was to make new shit. So when I got sober, I stopped making new shit so I could deal with the old shit finally. I did. That's how it worked for me. It did. I wasn't doing I wasn't doing what I used to do, and therefore I got the balls to look at what I had done finally and tell the truth about it. Yeah. It was awesome, man. I remember one story. This was very incredible. I was looking at a car to buy from some people in AA. I took it down to this town called Santa Cruz, and there's a mountain road to get back towards San Francisco. And my plane hydroplaned my car, and so and of course time just slowed down. I was twiddling my thumbs, waiting to see what was going to happen when I hit the guardrail. But I was facing the wrong way, and all these cars were coming, and some of them were hitting the guardrail and banging a little. And as soon as I got the car started, I wanted just to take off because I could see a sign I caused tons of fucking damage. Maybe someone died. I just wanted to split, but AA had me. And I didn't. I pulled over into the rest area. The cops came. Some of the cars stopped. The cop came. It was building up to the big crescendo. He asked, does anyone want to do anything? Everyone said no. He looked under my car, their cars. Okay, you can go. And nothing happened. The big crescendo never occurred. I had never waited around to see if it would occur or not. I just took it to be definitely a great crescendo and run. But no, I stayed there. Yeah. I took responsibility and fucking nothing happened. I drove home. I was going to turn off the next exit, hide in a garage for a few hours or something. I swear. It was the urge was strong, but the force was stronger, the grace had me stay. That was and I had a little voice recorder and I recorded it. I said, I can't fucking believe what just happened. I stayed around and nothing happened. I used to run and I had tons of court dates. It was awesome. So yeah, there were some major breakthroughs in sobriety, breaking the old pattern of the way of life. I learned about non-duality and more shit hit me around 7 years or so.
Okay.
7 to 9 years, a lot of shit downloaded. Yeah. But the first years were just fucking, getting a new way of life.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you.
Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Brian. Okay, Paul, we're all done.
All right. Great. Very happy. Nice to meet you, Brian. Nice, everyone. Let's say goodbye to everyone. Brian, Michael, Stacy, thank you for the service. We got Jesse from Ireland. People from Ireland stepped in today. Jess coming in. Connor, fantastic. Nice to finally meet Connor in some way. Yes, there you go. We got Maria. We got Joseph, Mickey, Walter, Carl, Van from Vancouver. It's pretty nice. Van from Vancouver. We got Roman. Not Roman from Rome. No, Roman from Germany. We got Rob from Kentucky. There he is. He doesn't let us forget it. He has Kentucky on his shirt right there. We got Jack G. He's in someone's garage in Cape Cod. Judith, nice. Thank you for your share, Judith. Yes. Oliver from Berlin. Amy, always nice to see Amy. Seattle. Vegas, something, I don't know, somebody. Al. Grateful Dave. Johnny R. We're going to be coming back east to the East Coast in June. On the June 23rd, we'll be doing some stuff at this place called in Dover, New Jersey. Then I'm going to go all over Philly and stuff like that. So we'll tell you when we start setting it up. All right. And tomorrow is a day off, so to speak. And then Saturday we have a meeting, 1:00 live in Marin City in lovely Northern California, and on Zoom at 1. So, hey, thank you for everything. It's always a pleasure to spend time with all of us. And yeah, see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.